Hi to everybody. I'm Paolo Platter, CTO and co-founder of Agile Lab and WheatBoost. And today we will talk about decentralization and how a platform strategy can enable the decentralization. So nowadays, decentralization is everywhere. Most of the successful business in the world are based on a platform business model and a decentralized model. But let's see why decentralization is so successful. So first of all, because it's reducing the cost of transaction of whatever you are exchanging, no matter if they are goods or data or whatever. If you have an intermediary in between who is exchanging the value, the intermediary will add its own margin. Okay. The second reason is there are two laws that are regulating the communities, and the first one is the Dunbar law, that is stating that we can manage up to a certain number of connections in a community, and this number is more or less 100, 150. Okay, so in a central way, you can manage up to 150 connections. And the other law is the Metcalfe law, that is stating that in a network, the value generated by the network is growing quadratically with the number of connections and the number of participants in the network. And this is why, after a certain limit of scale, not only going decentralized is needed, but it's also adding a lot of value because it's creating exponential value. And the third reason is because decentralization solves the principal adhering problem. Okay, this is valid in whatever field in our community. So every time there is a principal delegating authority to an agent, and this agent acting on behalf of the principal, we have this kind of problem, because the agent, even if it's acting on behalf of the principal, anyway has its own agenda, its own interest. And this problem is creating an interest conflict, and this problem is going to grow if the agent is providing the same service to more principals. And now let's see how we can apply this on data management. So the data management, the standard one, is now working in this way. So we have business domains doing the demand towards the IT, and the IT is actually an intermediary. So for sure the IT is adding its own margin, so it's increasing the transaction cost between the two business domains. For sure is an implementation of the principal agent problem, because the IT is the agent and delivering services for multiple stakeholders. But at the same time, the IT has its own agenda, its own interest, its own P&L. So there will be an interest conflict. So where we need to go in the decentralization of data management is this situation. So we need to put in direct connections the business domains, exchanging the data among them. And the IT need to shift from being an intermediary to become an enabler. And it can do this only by building a platform. If you think about Amazon, Airbnb, Uber, all these decentralized business that are putting in connection people not trusting each other, all these business are based on a platform. That you cannot decentralize anything without a platform in between. So in our journey towards decentralization, we also need to improve a couple of things. So when we decentralize, we want to increase the agility of the company. So we want to increase the agility in creating new business use case. And at the same time, we don't want to fold on compliance and governance like we do in shadow IT. So we need to find a good compromise between agility and compliance and governance. So now let's see how a platform strategy can enable this journey towards decentralization. So the pillar of a platform strategy are several. Today I'm going to touch which are the goals of a platform, which are the main capabilities, which are the possible differentiation factor, and how to plan, how to invest your resources into this platform. So first of all, if we recall agility and compliance, the goal of the platform is to enable both of them. So on the agility side, we want to reduce the complexity for people using the platform. We also want to generate autonomy and independence in creating data products or whatever you want to have on top. From a governance standpoint, instead, at the same time, the platform needs to protect the company. So we need to establish data governance and data compliance. But we also need to protect the users, because when you put users in direct connections, you need to protect the user from the misconduction of other users. And this is exactly what happens in Amazon. If you try to cheat someone on Amazon, Amazon is covering you and guarantee that the transaction can happen properly. Now let's try to dissect an overall platform. So on the bottom, we have the platform foundation. So here I position all the tools that are already a commodity in the market. So the full data stack, databases, data processing layer, data catalogs, software development lifecycle. We are full of tools like this, and these are the platform foundation. On top of this, we need to enable decentralization. So the classic data management tool are not enabling any kind of decentralization. They are just providing you the toolbox to implement use cases, but they are not really into how people should behave and how people should interact in order to exchange value. So we have now the data product management layer, where we can position all those capabilities that are helping the management and the life cycle of data products. And on top of this, you need to put your data practice. Okay? Your data practice is the real differentiation factor for your company. This is where you position your best practice in terms of architecture, governance, quality, security, and all those stuff that are really peculiar of your company. The enabler for the decentralization are only these two layers, the data product management and the practice that you decide to put on top of it. If we look in more details at what data product management is, we can see this. So the data product management is the full life cycle of a data product, starting from the assumption that who is building the data product need also to run it and govern, so with full autonomy. So there are three main phases highlighted by colors. So you have the build phase, so the change management, starting from the requirements and going into the development of the data product and so on. Then we have the deployment phase, so how do we automate the operation of our data products? And we have the runtime. The runtime is once the data product is published, we still need to monitor, run operations, enable the consumption, and so on. And we have also the platform team and the platform that will act as an enabler to reach this goal. Going in more details, which are the differences between the platform capabilities, so the data product management capabilities, and your practice. This is super important because in the data product management layer, you need to put everything can be abstracted by your specific context. In your data practice, you need to embrace and create your own standards, architectural choice, governance choice, security choice. All this stuff cannot be done by a tool. You need to define by yourself because this is really coupled with your company and your ecosystem. In the data product management, instead, we can abstract all those operations that are enabling the creation of a practice on top. Now let's see where a company should invest among these three layers. Okay, so this is a Wardley map. I don't know if someone know it. Is a quite common way to create strategy for product development, and because creating a platform is like creating an internal product, you need to decide what you want to buy and what you want to build. And this map is positioning four maturity levels. So Genesis, where it's worthy to do research, custom build, where it's worthy to build custom solution, and then we have product and commodity. So starting from the right, in the commodity we find all those capabilities that are already a commodity in the market. There is an efficient market. There are products that already spent millions in research and development. So there's no reason why you should build something like this. I mean, who is creating the platform should not build something like this, okay? Because you are not able to create any differentiation. Would you create a custom database right now or a custom data catalog right now? No. So the Wardley map say that even if in the past you invested in creating a custom build capability for these areas, when you reach the commodity, you need to dismiss the investment and go with a commodity. In the product area, instead, is more borderline. And data product management is now in this area. I can recall 4 or 5 products acting in this market category and investing more or less 4 or 5 millions in the product development. So the Wardley maps say that when a capability is sitting in this area, you should not start a custom build in this area right now. Instead, if in the past you already invested in creating these capabilities, you can keep them until these capabilities will become a commodity. Once they become commodity, you need to dismiss your past investment and go with a buy approach. Instead, if you look at your data practice, so architectural choices, architectural pattern, and whatever we have seen here, so all this stuff, okay, this cannot be commoditized. Nobody can create a product that is perfectly fitting your security needs, compliance needs, and architectural vision, and whatever. So this is a place where you can invest most of your money and internal resources, because this is not becoming a commodity. Okay. Now let's talk about time to market, because also this one is a crucial one. So when a company decide to go with data mesh or decentralization in general, so decide to change the way of working of people, there will be an initial excitement, but then you know your stakeholders, there is a fixed amount of time before they will start to complain that they don't see results, they don't see return of value, and so on. So you have a limited time to implement the platform, and then after implementing the platform, you can start to implement data products. Because if you don't have the platform, remember the initial slide about the decentralization, without the platform, it's like trying to sell books on Amazon without having Amazon. So it's nonsense. So you need to implement the platform, then you need to create the first data products, but the first 20, 30 data products will not generate the flywheel effect, the Metcalfe law, okay? So it will require a bit of time in order to show the result and show the autonomy and the speed that people got after this change. And you cannot manage the dissatisfaction of stakeholders for too much time. So the complaining will come, and you have a limited time to manage it. So you don't want to end up in this situation where the time to build the platform enabling the data products is taking too much time, because if you reach that point where you lose the trust of the stakeholders, the trust is not coming back anymore. This is one-shot try, like every transformation. Now we can talk a bit about autonomy and innovation, because in a decentralization journey, the goal is to enable the autonomy of people in exchanging value independently, and we want also to spark the innovation. So a good platform should balance the centralization of expertise and the decentralization of innovation. We want to decentralize the innovation to have more innovation, but at the same time, we don't want to end up with a chaos. Okay? So to me, what is worthy to govern are all those elements that are part of a global interest. For example, if we don't govern data contracts, it will be impossible to have semantic and data interoperability. This is a global interest. Okay, everybody can build the data product, but in the end, we need to connect them to gain more value from it. The same stuff is happening for system architecture, infrastructure, automation. If you don't govern this part, you will end up with a lot of cost and complexity. So this is something that is a global interest. Instead, if we move towards software architecture and business logic, here we don't want to put any kind of constraint to people, because this is where the innovation can happen, and it will be an innovation on the business use case, not on the technology. We don't want to have people innovating on technology. We want to have people innovating from a business standpoint. So when you try to find the right balance, I suggest to focus in governing this part and providing freedom in this other area. This is another view of how to balance decentralization and centralization. We want to have people building their data products independently. So when they are in the build phase, we want to provide the biggest autonomy we can. But when they move into the deployment phase, in order to move into the runtime, here is a good place where we can position constraints and governance. In fact, I suggest to use deploy time policies, computational policies, to inspect the data products and gain control about what people are building in an independent way. So you see, we need to balance decentralization and centralization to have then again decentralization, because once we are in the marketplace, we have the runtime of data products. We want people exchanging these data products in a totally independent way without any kind of intermediary. At the same time, we need to have runtime policy to check the compliance and governance of the data. Pay attention that deploy time policy are to check user behavior. Instead, runtime policy are to check the data behavior. At runtime, we can only check the data. At deploy time, we don't have data, we have the user behavior. But both of them need to be checked in order to create a compliant ecosystem. And this is another trade-off in designing a platform. So you need to balance the cognitive load that you are putting on people using your platform and the breadth of choice that you propose to them. If you propose to them only one option, you need to develop all the data products with Snowflake, okay? This is the only option I provide you. People after a while will not fit in this requirement because they have other needs and so on, and they will start to shadow you. They will start to build another platform, creating internal competition and so on. On the other side, if you provide too much breadth of choice, like cloud vendors, for example, you have all the tools at your disposal, but basically you are just providing tools. You are not providing any kind of practice. So people can pick up tools, but you don't have any kind of governance. So you need to find a good balance between not restricting too much the choices for users and at the same time not providing too many choices. And also the cognitive load axis is super important, because if you build a platform that is too much for developers and very techie guys, so this will need a high cognitive load for people to jump into the platform, and this will result in a pushback of the platform. It's too difficult, it's impacting our deadline, and so on. So this will be result in a pushback. You need to stay in this area. Last thing, innovation happens always at the border, and you need to be able to catch this innovation spark. What does it mean? When you create a platform, you are constraining user in many areas. No, you are creating golden path, but at the border, you want to provide them freedom, because you want to be in the position to observe if people are using your platform in an unconventional way, something that you didn't talk about. And once you observe this phenomenon, then you can say, okay, they are using my platform to do this. So this is clever. I can enable more this kind of use case. So the innovation that is happening at the border is feeding your product roadmap. If you constrain too much people, so they don't have space for innovating and use the platform with creativity, you will not in the position of observing nothing, because they are doing A, B, C, and you will not observe nothing. So this is super important in order to create a platform that can evolve along the future. Finally, just a remark on WheatBoost. So WheatBoost is a data product management solution. If you are interested in knowing more how we implemented all these principles that I talked about, we are at the booth Y628. See you there.